Ki-hoon and Jung-ho were gangsters. They're arguing about the grocery prices in a supermarket because Korea was experiencing a financial crisis. The currency has dropped drastically, causing many Koreans to suffer from hunger. In fact, crime was increasingly occurring because the people were willing to do anything to get food. Leaving the supermarket, Ki-hoon and Jung-ho went to a prison to pick up their friend, Jun-suk, after being sentenced for 5 years. In the past, the three of them robbed together, but Jun-suk deliberately sacrificed himself so that his two friends would not be imprisoned. Therefore, Ki-hoon and Jung-ho owed Jun-suk much. Because they had not seen each other for a long time, they went to a nightclub, celebrating Jun-suk's freedom. There, Jun-suk said that he really wanted to leave South Korea, which is no longer suitable for a person like him. Jun-suk planned to move to Taiwan. There, one of his friends was ready to give him a house, and he really wanted to invite his two friends, Ki-hoon and Jung-ho, to get out of Korea, which is already in chaos. To support their moving plans, they needed a lot of money, so Jun-suk asked for money that was stolen from 5 years ago. However, Ki-hoon explained that since 5 years ago, the Korean currency is no longer valid. Now, almost everyone used American dollars, so all the stolen money was no longer worth it. They only had $2,000 left, but with that money, they couldn't possibly go to Taiwan because ship fares were also going up. Hearing this, Jun-suk was very disappointed. The next morning, Jun-suk with his friends went to his old shop belonging to his late mother. When he arrived there, he prayed for his mother, then he talked about his past memories with his late mother. In the past, Jun-suk's mother had a big dream to bring her children to move to Taiwan and build a house on the beach. Therefore, Jun-suk wanted to make this dream come true as a final tribute to his mother. That night, Jun-suk invited his two friends to the casino and met their old friend. Arriving there, Jun-suk looked at all corners of the casino. At that moment, his gaze focused on a safe containing piles of dollars. He suddenly got an idea to rob the money, but not long after, a waiter was delivering drinks, and it turned out that the waiter was Jun-suk's old friend, Sung-soo. But instead of greeting his old friend nicely, Jun-suk was rude to him. Turns out, Sung-soo had stolen the money from the robbery when Jun-suk was in prison, and until now, he hasn't returned it because he didn't have money. He even admitted that now, his life is suffering because he's unable to meet his daily needs. Hearing this classic excuse, Jun-suk was very upset because he needed a lot of money, but after finding out that Sung-soo was working as a waiter in a casino, Jun-suk forced him to help him in robbing the casino. Not wanting to waste any time, the four of them held a meeting to plan their mission carefully, but in the middle of the meeting, Ki-hoon didn't want to take part because the casino belonged to one of the most powerful mafia in Korea. If they were caught robbing, the mafia would not only kill them, but would also use their body as dog food. Even so, Jun-suk remained optimistic that his plan would succeed, and with Sung-soo's help, he was sure that the robbery would be 100% successful. The next day, Jung-ho tried to persuade Ki-hoon to make Jun-suk's dream come true. After all, Jun-suk had helped their lives, like providing free housing in the past and sacrificing himself 5 years ago. Hearing that, Ki-hoon felt guilty, and finally, he wanted to take part in the robbery. Not long after, they immediately finalized their mission plan. Not only that, they also discussed the worst possibility if they were caught by the casino owner or the police. Jun-suk and his friends would enter through the roof. Then, after breaking in, Jung-ho would be in charge of taking the money from the safe and taking the CCTV hard disk so that evidence of their crimes would not be found. Meanwhile, the others would monitor the surroundings and paralyze the guards. However, they only had 5 minutes to complete the robbery before the owner found out. After fixing the plan, Jun-suk invited his friends to go get weapons. He had a friend named Bong-sik, who was used to smuggling weapons from abroad. Jun-suk wanted to prepare everything carefully so that no one gets hurt or killed during this robbery mission. Therefore, he also prepared a bulletproof vest and all the weapons needed. Before Jun-suk left, Bong-sik asked him to be careful. Returning home, Jun-suk taught Ki-hoon and the others how to use weapons because he was the only one who had completed military service. Luckily, his friends were able to follow all his instructions. After the shooting practice, they took a group photo while carrying weapons, uploaded it to their social media. Shortly, all the preparations had been completed, and their mission would soon begin. The four of them went to the casino, fully alert. However, this actually made them panicked. Even Jung-ho found it hard to breathe and had to take an inhaler first. Not long after, they finally arrived at the casino. Jun-suk reaffirmed their respective duties and reminded them that they had to complete everything in 5 minutes. They immediately put on their face masks and went up to the top of the casino building. They slipped into the emergency exit stairs, and when everything was ready, Jun-suk suddenly felt doubtful and worried about his friend's fate. However, they were all ready to sacrifice themselves for Jun-suk, whatever happened. Seeing his friend's courage made Jun-suk confident and immediately gave the signal to start the robbery. Seeing the chaos, one of the employees immediately pressed the emergency button, which connected to the mafia headquarters. The mafia immediately sent troops to stop the robbery. At the same time, Jung-ho entered the operator's room and forced one of the employees to open the safe. But unfortunately, the woman was stalling for time. Because there was no other choice, Jung-ho finally aimed the gun at the woman, putting it to her neck. While outside, Jun-suk and the others were busy securing the situation and knocking out the guards, but they didn't want to kill anyone, so this wouldn't get any more complicated. Seeing that Jun-suk and his friends were a little caught off, the guard tried to fight back. He firmly said that the mafia boss would not let them live in peace, but Jun-suk and his friends didn't care at all about the threat because Jung-ho had managed to take all the money in the safe. Without thinking twice, they immediately ran away. Unfortunately, they were blocked by the troops sent by the mafia boss, so like it or not, they had to find another way to escape. Even though they were almost caught, they finally managed to run away from the mafia. Then they celebrated their success. Unfortunately, Jung-ho didn't have time to take the hard disk because his time was up. Knowing this, they all panicked, but it turned out that Jung-ho was just playing a prank. After everything was done, Jun-suk and friends prepared to leave Korea. Jun-suk also gave some money to Sung-soo, saying that he had forgiven Sung-soo's mistakes in the past. Jun-suk even asked Sung-soo to stop working at the casino and come to Taiwan with him. However, Sung-soo refused because if he suddenly left the casino, the mafia would definitely suspect him. So he worked for another month or two, then promised to follow them to Taiwan. At the same time, a hitman named Han had just been hired by the casino owner to catch Jun-suk and his friends. Even though he looks like a normal person, he was a murderer and cold-blooded psychopath who always tortured his targets before they died. Han went to the illegal weapons shop one by one to look for traces of his targets, and finally arrived at Bong-sik's place. Without further ado, Han immediately interrogated Bong-sik, but Bong-sik was a loyal friend, so he didn't want to divulge any information to Han. Because Han didn't get any information, he took a gun and immediately shot everyone there. On the other hand, Ki-hoon invited Jun-suk and Jung-ho to visit his parents before going to Taiwan. Actually, Ki-hoon didn't want to go to Taiwan because he was afraid of worrying his parents, so he chose to go home and have a farewell party with his two friends. Meanwhile, Jun-suk and Jung-ho were orphans, so they didn't need to worry about anything anymore. Jun-suk then cheered Ki-hoon up, saying that they could go home once a year. Jun-suk also took Ki-hoon to the nearest beach so that his mood would improve. On the way, Jun-suk got a call from Bong-sik, and he happily answered the call. But strangely, Bong-sik sounds like he was forced to talk, and sure enough, after the phone was hung up, Han, who was in Bong-sik's shop, immediately destroyed the place. Feeling something was wrong, Jun-suk called Sung-soo to check on the situation. Jun-suk also asked him to be alert with everyone, but Sung-soo said that everything was fine and currently he was going to the casino to return to work as usual. When Sung-soo arrived at work, he suddenly became nervous and was suspected by his colleagues because when the robbery occurred, he deliberately applied for leave. And as expected, there were 2 guards who followed him, and as a result, he tried to run away. Feeling afraid, he ran to Jun-suk's mother's shop, where he had kept the money from the robbery. After checking it, all the money was still there. Finally, he took the money and looked for a new hiding place, but unfortunately, he actually met Han. We didn't know about Sung-soo's fate, but Jun-suk dreamed that his best friend was dead. When he woke up from his sleep, he looked worried because Sung-soo hadn't contacted him yet. Jun-suk went to the bar to calm down. While sipping a drink, Jun-suk kept trying to contact Sung-soo, but there was still no answer. Then, on the umpteenth try, the phone was finally answered. However, it wasn't Sung-soo who answered the call, it was a man across from Jun-suk, and he's Han, the hitman. Without thinking twice, Jun-suk immediately asked his friends to leave the lodging right now. He explained that there was a mysterious man who was watching them. So, like it or not, they all had to immediately look for a safe place. But unfortunately, their car didn't work at all. Because time was running out, Jun-suk ordered Jung-ho to hijack a car, while he and Ki-hoon were going to stand guard, raising their guns. Unfortunately, the alarm of the car was too loud, so Han could hear it, and he immediately tried to catch them. Han confronted Jun-suk and friends, stopping them with one shot. Unexpectedly, the shot caused Jung-ho unconscious. Han pulled Jun-suk out of the car while pointing his gun. However, as a psychopath, Han didn't want to kill Jun-suk in an easy way. Instead, he told Jun-suk to run away within 5 minutes. After that, he would hunt them down and finish them off slowly. Getting a second chance, Jun-suk and Ki-hoon immediately took Jung-ho to the nearest hospital before he lost a lot of blood. Arriving at the hospital, Jung-ho immediately received medical treatment. Meanwhile, Jun-suk was instead busy arguing with Ki-hoon because Jun-suk wanted to get out of the hospital before the murderer found them, and he was very sure that Jung-ho would be safer in the hospital. However, Ki-hoon didn't want to leave Jung-ho alone. That night, Jun-suk dreamed about Sung-soo's face again, seeing him dying. When he looked out the window, it turned out that Han was near them. So, without wasting any time, Jun-suk invited Ki-hoon to take Jung-ho and left the hospital. Slowly, Han started to enter the hospital. While looking for the 3 robbers, he used Sung-soo's cell phone to call Jun-suk. Luckily, Jun-suk had left his cell phone in a room to trick the killer, so the 3 of them rushed away as quickly as possible. But when they stepped into the elevator, suddenly Han shot them. Luckily, they were able to avoid the attack, and after making sure that everyone was safe, Jun-suk and friends left the hospital. They also stole Han's car so that the man wouldn't chase them. However, they didn't know that the car was a police car. Here, it was revealed that Han was a former police officer, who was expelled because he's a psychopath and liked torturing people. Even now, he was deliberately letting Jun-suk and his friends escape. He had put a tracking device in the car, so he could find them easily. Long story short, they finally arrived near the North Korean border. Jun-suk called his friend in Taiwan who promised to pick him up, but unfortunately, he had to wait until dawn because the journey was quite far. While waiting for the ship to arrive, Jun-suk invited Ki-hoon and Jung-ho to spend the night in an empty apartment. After going through all the bad things, Ki-hoon remembered his parents, and of course, he was very afraid that his family would also be targeted by the casino owner. To make sure, he immediately called his mother right away, but he heard his mother crying and saying there was nothing. This made Ki-hoon even more worried, and in the end, he decided to go home, saying goodbye to Jun-suk, and then left while crying. In the evening, Jun-suk was surprised by a car parked in front of the apartment. It seems like the person who put the car in was Han, so Jun-suk ran as hard as he could to check on Jung-ho's condition, but he didn't find anyone in the building. Panicked, Jun-suk finally took the money and prepared his weapon. Then he tried to find Jung-ho and took him to run away. But without realizing it, Han was already in the building, and not long after, a shootout occurred. Seeing Han's precise shot, Jun-suk chose to run away. However, the way he chose actually led him to a dead-end area, but luckily, Jung-ho came to help him. The 2 of them immediately looked for a car that they could use, but again, Han blocked their way. This time, this murderer really wanted to finish them off, and because there was no other choice, finally Jun-suk took the initiative to fight back. Not only that, he also gave weapons and bulletproof vests to Jung-ho, so he could fend for himself. They then split up and tried to outwit Han. Unluckily, Han was much stronger, so he was able to get out of the pressure. Jung-ho was fatally shot, and he was dying in front of Jun-suk. Seeing his friend lying weak, Jun-suk immediately used all his strength to fight Han. Unexpectedly, Jun-suk was able to injure Han, making him hide. After that, Jun-suk moved Jung-ho to a safer place, but unfortunately, he couldn't save his best friend's life. At his last moment, Jung-ho asked Jun-suk to avenge his death. After seeing his best friend die, Jun-suk was increasingly vengeful. He was willing to die to avenge Jung-ho's death, so without fear, he would not let Han run away. However, Jun-suk was unable to control his emotions, so Han was able to beat him once again. When Han was about to kill Jun-suk, suddenly a group of gangsters came to them, and it turned out they were a gang belonging to Bong-sik's twin brother, who didn't accept Bong-sik's death. Therefore, they came to finish off Han. Seeing those gangsters, Han tried to escape. Even though he was very strong, Han was unable to fight them all. In fact, he had absolutely no chance to escape, and finally, the gangsters attacked him continuously. After the incident, Jun-suk was picked up by his friend and went to Taiwan. There, Jun-suk got a big house near the beach. At this moment, his feelings were mixed up. On the one hand, he had succeeded in making his dream come true, but on the other hand, he felt very lonely without his best friends. One day, Jun-suk's friend gave him information about Han, who was still alive. It was said that Han had massacred Bong-sik's entire family and destroyed the gang. Hearing all the bad news, Jun-suk was determined to return to Korea and avenge Jung-ho's death. He also wanted to find out about Ki-hoon and Sung-soo, because until now he had never heard of them. Before returning to Korea, Jun-suk decided to practice shooting so that he could defeat Han.